what's going on, everybody? I hope you are all well. God bless everybody that's out there today. You are on Life's New Normal virtual podcast. My name is John Register. I'm going to introduce you to amazing individuals, amazing people who have overcome tremendous odds, yet still find a way to give back to others. I'm the host, two-time Paralympic sport athlete, combat Army veteran, and professional inspirational speaker. And our featured guest today, on our last show, actually on our last show, we had an amazing woman on here, Marsha Barnes, the amazing businesswoman of Indiana, who is changing the lives of so many people. Marsha is part of Accelerant. I met her there at a meeting in Indianapolis, which exists to generate new business, and is the CEO and founder of Valve and Meter, also in Indiana, and just, has built multiple multi-million dollar companies. Catch her on that episode on YouTube, or scroll back and look at it on the pinned timeline on LinkedIn to find that as well. All episodes on my LinkedIn profile are going to be there, so make sure you go back and check it out and comment and share on the episode. And I just was at the National Speakers Association meeting, was talking to a gentleman who was actually presenting to us on LinkedIn, and was saying that LinkedIn really wants the engagement of having really true dialogue and conversation. So if you just say, "Good job, that was awesome, our guest today made a great comment," that LinkedIn takes that out of your timeline, out of my timeline, inserts it into yours, and all your timeline is going to see is just "great job, good comment." So make the comment really deep and poignant, so that it's impactful for your audience. So today's show, make sure you're going to hit the notification button, the subscribe button if you're on YouTube out there, because oh my gosh, I have a rock star on the line today. I can't wait to get into this conversation with her. I met our guest when I was dropping off my daughter for the first time, and for an internship in Washington, D.C. Now, we had lived in the Virginia area, then we moved out to Colorado, and so she was going to school, and then she came back to Virginia, actually Washington, D.C., for this internship. So you can imagine, as a father, my wife and I were like, "Oh my gosh, who about to drop this child off to," and everything. Taking my daughter into the area, it was quite an emotional, exciting, and triumphant experience as well. I met one of my buddies who works for the FBI. We met for coffee and said, "Hey, here's my personal cell phone number for your daughter." So I had the FBI watching her. Okay. So when I was there, we're outside the door of this amazing group of people that I was yet to meet. And when I met the team, I was immediately laughing at myself for being so concerned. What a crew. By the time I left, I knew two things. Ashley, my daughter, was going to have a fantastic internship, and she was probably going to want to be an attorney after it was over. So my guest was one of these women. My guest today is one of these women who had tremendous impact on my daughter, and thus having impact on our family. She is a nationally known trial lawyer, mediator, and in-house counsel, and as well as a recognized leader among multicultural social justice organizations. Her reputation as a smart, skilled negotiator, adept at crafting realistic and sustainable results while always maintaining a calm and balanced demeanor. She excels at communicating complex subject matters with clarity across broad stakeholder groups and increasing engagement for shared outcomes. The word collaborative is often used when counsel are describing our guest today, stating her ability to make a genuine connection with everyone, irrespective of the level of complexity of that situation presents, is honestly quite astounding and impressive to witness. So if you know anything about the law and all what we're going through today, you got to know this person here. So please welcome the social justice slayer, the multicultural media player, the cavalier from the University of Virginia Law School, the one and only Keenan.
Woo! Woo! I feel like there should be cheerleaders in the background. I feel like I'm running out onto the field. No wonder you're so like just like an Olympian person. So great, thank you. I feel all excited. Oh, it's morning, and I feel like I'm ready to go for a run. This is great.
I am so excited to see you and to be on with you. I just adore you, your team, what you do, the work you do, and of course, as a dad, just how you gifted into my daughter. I mean, just so heartfelt.
Okay. Ashley is a star. We can take a minute and just do that. She's a star. I mean, you give her something to do, and she runs. and you almost don't even have to say anything else. But if you just give her a little this or a little that, she is off to the races. It was a joy. She
Oh,
is a
oh,
star.
that's
You are going to be getting accolades on your daughter for a lifetime, because she is true and just a humble, sweet, but smart, brilliant, take charge. She has leadership skills. She
mm,
has all the good stuff, all the just the right notes. People, you need a big toolkit to be good in life. And people don't realize that you can be smart, you can be tough, you can be brilliant, but you also have to be able to be humble. You have to be able to
mhm.
follow. You have to know when to lead and when to follow. And she has all those skills in her toolkit, and she's gonna have a great result from it.
Well, I remember y'all sent her someplace. I mean, for like one of those test the water assignments. Like
Oh
you're in
yeah, we
Washington
let her
D.C.
interview high-powered people. We you know what? When you see that somebody's talented, you don't go, "Oh, well, but she's in college, she's only this talented." No,
Mm,
you go, "This is clearly a person that if we let her stretch, she will." And she never let us down. She always
wow.
delivered. We were very proud of her. My colleague Marita Coley, also a lawyer, very high-powered, was the
Yes.
lawyer for BET. I had come from NAACP as the general counsel. We know talent when we see it, and rather than pigeonhole her into a certain type of activity, when you see that someone has aptitude and the amplitude, you send them off to get it done.
Wow. Well, thank you for that. And we just learned a whole bunch about leadership just in that comment right there. See what I'm talking about?
Right.
I mean, look at how she just squeezed and moved that thing and just put that right on the point. So I really appreciate you once again, Kim, for being on today. So I got some questions for you. We'll just kind of
Sure.
flow with it today.
Let's do it.
Um, you know, kind of going back a little bit because I like the origin stories and journey stories like this. What was the driver for you entering the law field? I mean, usually people have a moment. Did you have a moment?
I don't know that I had a moment so much as, my mom was a social worker, and she would go to court, and she was always talking about the lawyers. She was always
Hmm.
talking about, I think she was brainwashing me and I didn't realize it, but she just kept saying the lawyers were there to help people. The lawyers made a difference for this child. The lawyers made a decision that this would happen or that would happen. And I was very intrigued by it. And I remember thinking, I'd like to be able to change the results for people. I'd like to advocate for people and be a voice for them. And I was always doing public speaking, and I was always doing debate, and I said, you know what, I think I'm going to go to law school. And what's really interesting about this is I decided that probably in grammar school.
Mm.
And when I finally decided to go after college, my parents were like, "Look, we got you out of Georgetown. You've got a job at AT&T. We don't need you to get any more education. You've done everything we dreamed of and more." And they were like, "Are you sure?" And my parents are born 3 days apart.
Oh
So when
no.
they agree that precisely on something, you have to pay attention, because they don't usually, usually one will say, "Oh, be open, let her do it." The other one would be like, "No, no." You never get this sort of synergy of they both on, that was back when one could be on one line and one could be on the other, and they're both saying, "You know what? You work for the biggest company in the world. You sure? You sure you want to go to law school?" And but you know what? My parents taught me to make my own decisions. They taught
Mm,
me
mm.
that if this is a goal that I have, that I can achieve it. And they supported me, even though they weren't so sure about this particular goal. And you know what? It was meant to be. I compared to college, I crushed law school. I loved it. It was where I was supposed to be. And I got to do exactly the thing that I intended to do, and I still get to do that.
And
And
does
it's
that
really,
drive you still today? I mean, is that's a driver for you? I mean, what's the? I know you do a lot of social justice issues, and you're focused in on that. And I want to explore that a little bit more for the conversation that we're having today. But is that a still driver for you?
yeah, a driver for me is I want to make a difference. I want to
Yeah.
leave my fingerprints on
Mm,
things that are positive and impact people in a way that changes their life. And so you'll see that no matter, it almost doesn't matter what day job you have.
yeah.
You can still fulfill your dreams to make the world a better place. A lot of people think that the two are mutually exclusive,
Mm,
but it's so funny. The way I got the job at the NAACP was not because of my day job, right? I was a trial lawyer. I was litigating multi-million-dollar pieces of litigation, but I was also on the board of the Lawyers Committee for Civil Rights. I was working on voting rights. I was, working in the bar association. I was the first Black head of the DC Rape Crisis Center, which is one of the
Mm,
biggest ones in the country. I was always trying to find a way to use what I had learned to help somebody else. And, people wonder why you can have a long, successful law career. Well, it's because I didn't just focus on my career. I focused on, using the talent to help other people, and what I got back. That's what people don't realize. People so focus on, oh, I'm volunteering, I'm giving up time. But let me tell you something. These people that you volunteer with and the people that you volunteer for are rocking your world while you're
yeah,
doing that.
yeah,
I remember once doing a clinic, and this woman was like, "Oh, I don't have any money, but I'm going to make you some cookies, and I'm going to do this." I mean, people humble you
yeah,
with
yeah.
their human spirit, and they expand your ability to do more. And so what you get back, I've never done anything that I didn't get more back from what I did. I thought I was going to help, and it turned out they were helping me. They were expanding my spirit. I don't look to others to make my job fun and
Yeah.
interesting and engaging and enlightening. I look to myself to find the pieces, right? You have to have physical activity, you have to have mental activity, and you just have to put in the work. And if you are open, people can help you with that in a way that if you tried to do it alone, it's just harder.
I love what you're saying here, and I got to pay some bills, and so here's a bill I got to pay today. There are some people that are coming on here, and I just want to let you know that you're being loved and being shout out. So we have Diana Parker. She's one of the faithful out here. She says, "Hello, John and Miss Keenan. Diana Parker in
Yay!
Tampa. What's
Yay,
up,
Tampa!
Diana?"
I wish I was there.
I know. I just came back from Orlando. We should have met up, Diana.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
So we have, look at this. We have Lisa says, I love that. I too want to leave a legacy and make impact. So already you're making impacts for people thinking and how they can actually make more impacts on that. I had another question I was going to, but you said something, and I want to take advantage of this because you are one of these amazing litigators, as well as being able to bring people together to help understand complex issues. So you made mention of voter registration, and so we're in a time right now where we're kind of looks like we're regressing a little bit
Yeah.
to old laws that are on the books, and it's always been kind of like this of when people are in power, they want to hold on to that power, and so if there's somebody trying to push against you, you're trying to fight to say, okay, why are they trying to take the power away from me? So talk a little bit about, kind of encapsulate, not really kind of get into the topic, but encapsulate, why is this such an important issue to be debating?
I love this. This is a question I was asked by a reporter in Houston, and he kept saying, "You're so passionate about this. Why are you so passionate?" I said, "Because I am the child of the ancestors who marched and bled and died so that I can have the right to cast my vote. And it's not about who I'm casting my vote for, it's that I am casting my vote."
Right. Yeah.
When people had polls and threats and they just weren't able to do it. And as a woman, we always get everything last. And a Black woman, and when I say last, I mean way last. And
I want to
so for
challenge you on
me,
that. I want to challenge you on that real quick,
mhm,
because black woman, yes, last. Black woman with a disability, way, 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 way later.
hey, once you start saying Black woman and then there's something else, it's just down.
I,
It's
I,
way down. And so that, I mean, you still got Black woman in there. That's the first two that got you already. So
I would.
we are challenging
I
each
got to.
other.
I
We
got to
just
speak up for my disabled
we're
sisters out
preaching. We're
there.
preaching fact. We're just preaching fact now. So no question about that. And look at this. We're just getting the first Black female nominee to the Supreme Court. That says everything. It's been 200 years. I mean,
Yeah,
really.
over.
And she has the baddest credentials on the block.
Absolutely.
And you can lay hers next to anybody, take away the color, and she wins.
Right. Right.
So, but voting is at the heart of being an American. When we go around the world and we tell people, we have such a great democracy, we're preaching the one person, one vote, but yet here we're trying to marginalize the vote. We're trying to shade the vote, right? They're not outright trying to prevent people from voting because that really sounds bad. No, they want to just shave off who can get there. And I worked on that because I just believe that we need to get everybody out to vote. It's not
Yeah,
about some people or what, but it just so
that's right.
happens that the laws disproportionately affect people of color. And while I was at NAACP, I filed numerous suits, under Help America Vote Act. I mean, it's like shooting fish in a barrel. People just messing it up on purpose. You shoot, yeah. So I was suing for, like, yes, we'll see that. Yeah. Oh, yeah, we'll see that too. And you do it because you understand that it's part of a larger goal to disenfranchise people and keep them from participating in the democracy. And the only thing that really gives me hope in this time is, my time at National Association for the Advancement for Colored People, is that they don't give up. They don't give out. They don't take a time out. They work on this 25/8. They don't have holidays. I told people that when I was at the NAACP, the only day that there wasn't a lawsuit or something wasn't happening was Easter. Christmas is a regular day. New Year's is a regular day. Because they will not give up, they will not give in, and that
Wow.
that makes me so proud. And I remember when they would change the laws that you had to get the registration in within 24 hours. The people would come to me and be like, how do we get this done in 24 hours? Because we're going to do it. They're going to do it. They understand that you don't give up. They are not hired guns like these people who want to change the voting laws in this country. They are the real deal. They're freedom fighters. So
Yeah.
we're going to have to keep our eye on that and work on it until finally people get it. But if not, the freedom fighters aren't going home, and they're not giving up.
I love that, and here's why. Because as I was a little tyke going to New York and stuff from Chicago, or going to Detroit where my family was, one of the freedom fighters out there, Gloucester B. Current, my uncle. And so he was, national executive director of NACP, last person to see Medgar Evers alive, first the person that was in charge of the March on Washington, all the platform speakers. So I'm looking at this and kind of getting this from that standpoint. And my friend, Representative Tony Exum, he's in Colorado, very small, House District 17, now going to try to be on the Senate on the state side, carries a poll tax card with him to get people, as you're going door to door, to say this is why. Because you had to pay money or had to actually, recite parts of the Constitution in order to cast a vote if
Right.
you're a person of color. So
Right.
he carries that in his wallet, because it's to remind people it just wasn't that long ago, and we're still seeing different remnants of that today.
And I have to make this point to you. Medgar Evers couldn't go to law school. He wanted to go. Just imagine the lawyer that Medgar
Wow.
Evers would have been. And I
Right.
mean, we stand on his shoulders just as sure as if he had gone. And we owe him a debt
Yeah.
because he
Debt.
could not go. Could not go. There was no school. He could not go. But instead, rather than give up and go home like some people do, oh, they won't let me go, he decided that he would fight the rest of, use every breath in his body,
Yeah.
despite the risk it put him the harm's way of it. That day when they shot up his house, it could have hit anybody in his house,
Yeah.
in him. But he continued on, and we owe him that debt of gratitude to keep going and not to give up. And we have more than they ever had: more tools, more education, more money, more opportunity. And so we owe it to him to make sure that everyone who is an American from coast to coast, from sea to shining sea, has the opportunity to vote for the candidates who are presented. So I'm inspired by that.
Yeah. We got some more comments coming in. I want to throw them out there. A friend of mine, beautiful friend of mine, we ran hurdles together, and we were roommates at the 1992 Olympic trials together. Jeff Woods, what's up, my brother? Yes, regardless of your day job, you can still make a difference.
That's
Thank you
absolutely,
for the affirmation. You could and should do more. Absolutely.
absolutely.
And then Lisa came in and said, I don't know if you saw that comment. She came back and said, oh my gosh, God help us. God help us.
God help us. We need to
God,
say that prayer a little bit every day.
absolutely,
God,
every single
help
day.
us, help us, help us. We lost. Help us find our way.
Second verse of the national anthem for lift every voice and sing. Okay, there just put that one in there for you. So I want to talk about. Well, I'm actually going to jump ahead a little bit. I want to come back to the multicultural media telecom, because we kind of got on this topic of a little bit. I was talking about a little this power thing. I told you I'm going to ask you about this, and I wanted you to push back. But if you agree, you agree, and I just so. But I wanted to kind of I'm testing it right now against the water here, and then so Lisa, look, as she says, she's cracking up on us. But Lisa, that's awesome. I love that, Lisa. Thank you. So here's the construct, right? I was having a conversation with a gentleman that was in one of our kind of leaders in Colorado Springs, and I made the comment that power, we're talking about power and status. And I said, power is static, it doesn't move, it doesn't shift. You got to kind of take power. And status is fluid, it moves around, it shifts. So most people in power, they think they're giving power to other individuals, but really what they're doing is elevating status, or they're shifting the pieces around. They're never giving over the power to another group, because power generally has to be taken. And then I saw it. I saw what power, yielding itself to power, actually looks like at the Olympic Games. Because I really just couldn't put my finger on it. And then I started seeing it all over the place. So I wanted to kind of just share that with you. So the story is in the 500 meters speed skating, long track speed skating, Erin Jackson, an African American woman from Ocala, Florida, and Brittany Bowe, also from Ocala, Florida, a white brunette, are skating. And Brittany is kind of probably going to win a medal in the long track and the 1,000. But Erin Jackson, who's just come on the scene and blasted, is the first person of color and African American woman to win a medal at the World Championships, right? So she's the world's #1 fastest skater outright. But at the trials, she stumbles, she bobbles, and she finishes up third. Brittany Bowe wins the 500 meters that day. And because of the proximity, the purposeful proximity that they've had to each other while they've been training, and because of her knowing Brittany is the world's #1, and I think she already had a spot on the 1,000-meter team, she says, I'm giving this spot to you. I have the power to take the spot. I have the privilege to be in the spot. But if I want the world to win a gold medal for Team USA, I'm not the fastest skater. I'm not the most talented one in this event. That's you, person I've been close to, that I know, that I've been breaking bread with, that I'm probably after skating, going to the, getting an ice cream cone or whatever they might do after that. I know who you are. So I'm gonna give this spot to you. I'm gonna yield my power to you in order for you to have the privilege to skate for Team USA. And of course, she goes on, Erin Jackson does, to win the gold medal. And then Brittany winds up winning the bronze in the 1,000 meters. So I saw that as taking this conversation, which usually rests in diversity, equity, inclusion, what I call sometimes disability, equity, and inclusion, and putting it into the context of the Olympic Games, and where we see a person that is in position and has proximity to somebody, purposeful proximity, can then yield it over to another person to have the best outcomes for the community. So I just wanted you, as I say that, to either hear what you have to say, push back against it. What do you think about that concept? Should I be putting an op-ed in the New York Times on that one, or do I got some work to do?
I agree with your initial. Power concedes nothing without a demand. I
Yeah.
truly believe that. That's classic Frederick Douglass.
Yep.
A lot of times people people are surprised that they don't want to give up the, power. They're like, what do you mean you don't want to not be in the White House anymore? What do you mean you don't want to keep your position? I think that's fairly normal that people want to hold on to
Yeah.
power, but it will concede nothing if you don't demand anything. And wanting that is like wanting crops without rain. There has to be this thing that causes people to say, we're going to do it. I don't see the situation you used as an example, because no one demanded that she do that. That was sportsmanship at its highest level.
Yep.
They showed sportsmanship. They showed grace. They showed humility, right? You're going to give up your spot, and I am humbled that you would select me. They were so, so funny. I am not an athlete in the sense of sport, but anybody who's a competitor, all the things are in play, right? So you have to have a code that you go by. And we see so little of it that it becomes so magnified when you see someone say, I am not the best. I'm one of the best in the world, But I want our team to exemplify the very best it has. That is you. It turns out that the you is her first time. She's older than you'd expect her to be. She didn't train in this her whole life, but she's still the best. And I like to tell people that, the best doesn't have a color attached to it.
Right.
It's just the best.
Right.
And in any given sport or on any given day, everybody in the room can really objectively say the best when they see it. And I think for her to do that showed a lot about her character. It showed a lot about, again, leadership. It was all these things that people teach. It's a textbook, and the things that people teach, and why sports is so important, because it really inculcates that into people's mindset of how they live. So the two of them are a master class in what can be done if people focus on the person, right? She didn't go, yeah, but she's black, I don't really want to give it to her. She could have said that. I mean, let's be real.
Right.
She'd have to put it on Instagram, but she could have been thinking that. But she thought, no, it's not about me, and I'm not going to get my shot. It's about, we want to win as Team USA. And if we want to win, we need the best person out there skating. And then in response, because both things matter. In response, Erin was so gracious. She's known me. She's watched me. She gives me this. I carry. So now I am carrying, right, her
Yes.
dream as I skate. And I know that means, won't be no stumbling today. I got to be the best of the best, right? And she was fast. I mean,
Yeah.
she didn't just win. It wasn't like she eked it out with the tip of her skin. She won. She beat those people. And I think some of it was, she was saying, she gave me this chance. Look at me say, you only get one shot to make it right. And I think that's what she did. I'm so proud of both of them. I mean,
Yes.
the story is both of them. It's not one without the other. It took both
That's
of them
right.
to get that medal for the USA. And that's who we are, and it reminds me of something I did want to say today. The new frontier for America is digital. We have to make sure that everyone has access. I saw that right on my iPad. I didn't see that in the newspaper. I didn't watch it when it was on TV, because I probably was asleep when they did it. So we have to make sure that everybody's connected. And unconnected tends to be brown. It tends to be Native American. It tends to be rural. And rural is predominantly still white. So it's not just us. It's all of us. And I
Right.
think sometimes we get so lost in
Well,
thinking
I'm going
about how
there.
to get something done, huh?
I'm going there. That's what I'm because I want to pull on that a little bit on
Yeah,
what
yeah, we
because
get lost.
that's what
It's us.
it's us. And so I want to, so here's some people that are jumping in. Licia came in and said again, so powerful, such a great example of humility, collaboration, and inclusion. With the story we just talked about, Jeff is saying that I agree with Licia, and then he also says that power, purposeful proximity. Love that team. Oh yeah, yeah, because we're cues. Yeah, where you go, team.
I knew it was coming, right?
What's that?
I knew it was coming.
It was coming. It was coming. Aye. um, yeah, I think it's when I listen to you, and I thank you for doing that, because it really does help me understand this. And so what I'm really, and I'm glad you said with what Frederick Douglass, has said, power doesn't concede. And so I'm wrestling with that a little bit of what she did, and trying to see it through this lens, because she did have the right, she had the privilege to represent Team USA, because she had earned that spot.
That's right.
And so now she recognizes that I'm in the driver's seat. I'm in control. And even though Aaron doesn't go to her and say, "Oh, please give it to me,"
That's right.
and demand it, she just says, "I see the demand in you already, and I'm going to yield this for the betterment of the team." But we must also, like you so well pointed out, Kim, that Aaron, it wasn't just a Rudy Pooch he was giving it to, right? She had proximity, and because she had that proximity, she understood, as Dr. Harry Edwards says, sociologist out of Cal Berkeley emeritus, that in order to kind of have sustainable change, he says in his theory has to have three things in play. One is a dependable and developed pipeline of talent. 2 is a persistent and pervasive demand. Somebody demand that the talent that's out there needs to be enacted in some kind of way. And 3, the institution being impressed upon to change actually has to want to change. So if you got all 3 of those things in play, you got the perfect storm. If you don't, we usually call it a quota system. I was going to pick a few people to bow to the pervasive demand that is out there. And so that's what I'm spinning in my head right now as we do
Right.
this.
I mean, she was the perfect storm.
Absolutely.
She was the thing we didn't know we needed. I mean, let's face it. Nobody
Right.
was watching the Olympics thinking we're going to see the first Black woman speak to win a gold medal. Nobody
No.
even, that wasn't even on
Right.
the list of things to watch or to do. But there it was. Like you said, the
Yeah.
perfect storm of all the different pieces were there together, and it just worked out that way, that everything came together for her. And what a great,
What a
wonderful surprise it was. And what a great example
great example.
of people who don't look the same, but who have the same mindset, who have the
Absolutely.
same goals, working together to get it done. And they didn't worry about, well, I'm white and you're Black, and well, should I be doing this, and is it the right thing? And she wasn't like, oh, can I take it from you because you're white and you gave it to me? No, they earned it. Both of them earned
Both of them.
everything. Nobody had to do that analysis. They just got together and collaborated to get it done. And I think sometimes we spend so much time looking at people and not getting to know people that we miss out on so many opportunities to collaborate, because we're so caught up in, oh, she's a Black woman, we don't really know none of them. So we can't, we can't let her on, we can't let her come, or we can't do this with her or that, and they don't know anything about you. I used to joke that every time I would depose somebody, they would interrupt the deposition and go, where did you go to law school? Like, and they would be all talk about emphatic. Where did you, like, where they training Black women to be like this? And I would never answer. I never answered, and I'm proud of my school. I've been invited to do the commencement speech. I'm really proud of the University of Virginia School of Law, but I would never answer, because telling what law school I went to wasn't going to help them with nothing.
Nothing.
So I would just graciously state, we'll get to that later. But later never came.
Never comes.
It's
still coming later.
They still asking that question, and there's still no answer, because it's not going to help them with what they want to know.
And for researchers, that's pretty sad that they can't go to the internet and just kind of look like.
Well, some of these depositions happened before the internet, but yes, now you can they can find it out on there. Find it out on your time. It's over. But I mean, it just shows you that we're so locked into what we see and not what we know.
Yeah.
And there are great people in every color, and there are yucky people in every color. And, taking a little time to figure out where people fall is amazing. And you're welcome. I would never do that. I'm never going to do that, because it's just silly. It's silly. It means you want to find a box for me, and I'm not willing to give you the boxes.
I love that. Thank you, Leisha, for putting that in, Miss Malcolm. All right. So I told you we're going to shift a little bit now, because I wanted to jump into what you were talking about, because I think that was one of the most important things when I was talking with Ashley when she was working at the Multimedia Committee Telecom Internet Council with you all. And net neutrality was on the table at that time, and that was some of the things that she was dealing with.
Mm-hmm.
And in my opinion, the rising disparity and the equity in internet service, this is exactly what you are trying to avoid back in 2017 when she was there. Can you talk a little bit more about why it's important passing laws for what should have been important to pass these laws for internet neutrality? And you're beginning to talk about that from the impacts of it on primarily brown and Black communities, as well as rural white community.
Well, I mean, again, back then people thought, right, that if you, that if you didn't, basically just tax the providers, that you would never get this sort of free ability for the internet. But the truth is, innovation has thrived without those rules. I mean, what I'm really talking about is creating a world where people have the opportunity to get to broadband. And net neutrality doesn't really address that. And I think the issue, and I think as time has gone on, we've seen, people who have the internet service providers, they're not blocking or throttling, or in fact, the truth is it's the edge providers who have a lot more power,
Mm.
and they don't own the pipes. They're the ones who really have that ability. We really have to find a way to make internet such that it's free and open and innovative. And by not putting in those rules that people tried to put in for net neutrality, we've gotten past that. And so now we're at the point where we got to make sure everybody gets it. Right. This is about everybody getting it. People focused on this blocking and throttling of traffic, but that the truth is that a lot of that was the companies having a fight about whether it was going to be free or not, but free for them, not free for us. We're paying. We got to pay. We're paying everybody now. So the key is, how do we make sure that we make it affordable, accessible? We make sure that people have the background and the educational skill to be able to get on. I'm always thinking about my mom. I want to make sure that she can not just have internet, but be able to use the internet. If there's one thing that COVID has given us as a gift, it is the fact that we understand that having access to broadband is not a luxury. People back then, when we were having those talks, and Ashley was with us, it was like it was a luxury. If you had money, you could have it. If you didn't have money, well, too bad, so sad. But the internet has taught us that essentially what happens is, if you don't have internet, you can't do telehealth with your doctor.
Mm-hmm.
You can't work from home. Your kids can't get online when the school closes. I mean, pretty much I could go down the list, and that would be your whole life. And for people who had access, life went on. You could have your groceries delivered. You could have somebody else go to the store for you. You could meet with your doctor. And look at that. We can see each other. Most of the things that, typical things that have come up, you could do it over the internet. So this is no longer a luxury. I used to tell people that, you remember in all the Star Wars and all of the Star Trek movies, whenever people wanted to make sure that, you were banished and you didn't succeed, and what you wanted to do died in darkness, they sent you to the dark planet, right? They sent you to the planet with no power, with no internet, and you couldn't phase down to the dark planet. Once you got there, you were stuck there. Okay, so that's what it would be like in America if we don't make sure that every person has access to broadband internet. And what's so great about the Build Back America program is that it does contain an affordable connectivity program. And I encourage people, check out your Urban League website. They have step-by-step instructions on how to do this, how to get this, how to go to your provider and get, if you qualify, and there's a lot of criteria now for you qualifying, and you get it would reduce your internet bill to the point where it's very, very low. And so it's really important that we take advantage of this. It was part of the infrastructure bill, and it's meant to make sure that people in rural areas, people in on the reservations, it's particularly bad. I think we don't talk about that enough. And you're out west. I really want to do that shout out. My family has much Native American on both sides, and it's not okay that the tribal lands, they have to have a bigger subsidy, because it's so much harder to get internet on there, because again, topography plays a role in how internet rolls out, and the more hills and mountains you have, the harder it becomes to deploy the infrastructure. So we need to focus on making sure that when you get on your device, whatever it is, and certainly the goal is to get you to a laptop or a tablet, whatever it is, that you can connect to the internet. And I can't think of anything more important. I think the day will come when somebody figures out that we could vote on the internet. We should be able to make that portable. People should be able to do it from wherever they are. We shouldn't be having silly fights about whether you're you. The IRS always knows it's me. How come we can't figure it out for voting, right? Have they ever said, "Oh, we have the wrong Kim"? It's lots of Kim Keenans.
They find me every year.
Right? It's lots of Kim K's all over the world. But I got news for you. When it's time to find Kim Keenan, everybody from the government agencies can find me. So this notion that we're not sure who you are, they don't need picture ID. So why should I need picture ID to vote? They know it's me. I know it's me. We know it's me. We gotta stop. We gotta use this technology to make the world better, not just for some people, but for everybody. Because we really have an opportunity. People finally get it. The homework gap, right? Our kids were falling behind in homework because when they got home at night, they could not do the homework that their classmates are jumping on their computers and using the internet and searching and coming up with really amazing things because they didn't have it at home. But when you're a parent and you have to decide, am I going to pay the lights or am I going to have broadband? They're thinking to themselves, I better get those lights on. But this is that important. And I can't say it strongly enough. Yeah. People, those skirmishes at the beginning about net neutrality aren't even really relevant anymore. You don't even hear anybody talking about blocking or throttling or any of that stuff because it didn't happen. It's not realistic. It's not the business model. We want to make it innovative. The reason our internet is so amazing, the reason our internet stayed up so well during COVID is because it is innovative. It is invested in by, multi hundreds of millions of dollars every year to make sure that we have the best and the most connectivity. But now we need to make sure that everybody is actually connected.
I'm listening and I'm reading these comments and I'm cracking up because I got to, and there's some in here I want you to answer it because I think this is as a topic is coming up. There's some people that are talking about this. So Di, beautiful lady that she does diversity, equity, inclusion. Just got a fantastic story. She's saying internet is utility, and then she comes back and says it should be free. Jeff comes back and says, agreed, internet access should not be a privilege. And Diana Parker comes in and says, too funny, the dark planet. No, without no internet. It's so funny. And then the other one is, they never sent my payment back. From that one from Di. So what do you think about that? Should it be free, or should we have some investment? Should we have some skin in the game with this, or
the only reason I get the utility argument, but let me just say this. Nobody has upgraded or innovated your electricity since they created it, right? It's literally the same electricity that was created, by the, pre-revolutionary times. And internet is evolving even as we sit here. I mean, even as we sit here, there's new applications. And I think that innovation is important. I do think it has to be affordable. And I think, I don't think it's like first of all, I don't want it to be like a regular utility because we would still be back on the internet that wasn't turning on your lights and letting Alexa talk to you and all these other things. We would have lost a lot of innovation if we made it a utility. Utilities tend to not be innovated. Like I said, you have the same electricity that you had 100 years. The same electricity your great grandmother had is the same. And the reason why is because nobody invests in innovating it. I really think it could be something different, but there's no real investment in the infrastructure or in the actual delivery of what you get. So I think for that reason, I'm not 100% thinking it's ready to be a utility. Maybe someday it will reach a certain critical point where it's that way, but right now that's just not the case. And the good news is because it keeps innovating, it's giving you more every day. I think that's the key. The more innovation it's giving you, right? It's getting faster, right? We started at, 1G and then we went to 2G, then we went to 3G. Well, guess what? We're at 5G, but people are working on 6G. You still got the same electricity you had forever. And you got your grandmother's, your grandmother's electricity is your electricity, but your grandmother's telephone is not your telephone that you have today. So that should be a sign to you that if we treat it like a utility, we're dooming it to being stuck at a point in time. But if we continue to treat it like a something that's being innovated and allow people to keep investing in it, in a big way, then we're probably going to get a much bigger bang on the long run out of what we get out of it. Like I said, we're already on 6G. I mean, you think about it. 1G is like grandma's Ma Bell telephones. And now, your phone, I went to the doctor and you remember how when you used to get, this, you're an athlete. Oh my God, easy breathing. You go to the doctor and they had to make a plaster mold of your foot, and you had to put your foot in all this, paper mache, and they had to mold it and send it to a lab. Now they pull out an iPad, they take a picture of your foot, boom. They've got a state of the art, perfectly, dimension diagram of your foot. They can make that orthotic for you. They still take a long time. Obviously, they need some more innovation. But the point is that now they can do that that's part of the innovation of what happens when people invest continuously in making something better. So that's why I feel that way about that.
I love that. That's fantastic. And you want her back. Di's there. She's back. No, she's really sharp and smart, and so not as a luxury. Meant that as same as that is not the same as your cable. And she says you're 100% right. Yeah. So awesome. I love this conversation, man.
Yeah,
I
this
see
is great.
everybody out there. If you got a question, and we got a few more minutes left, and we're gonna get Kim off to the next thing that she has to do today. So if you have a question, put it in the comments. I'm watching them right now just to make sure that I'm capturing everything, and all you beautiful folks out there. So thank you for really investing. I want to say it one more time. Please shout Miss Keenan out to your networks,
Yay,
and
shout me out on LinkedIn.
absolutely,
I do
and
not check anything else, but I always check my LinkedIn.
Yeah, well, please, yeah, and please do, because yes, she does. And the other thing is, remember when you make a comment, this is something I just found out, is that LinkedIn takes it out of my feed and they put it into into your feed. So if you just say great job, that was an awesome conversation, all they see on your feed is just that comment. So really make the dialogue happen. And I'm going to do my best to go back and read those comments and make more comments on your page, because that elevates the conversation on LinkedIn, and that's what they want. They want the conversation. Diana Parker, back.
This is my first one, so this is so much. This is so much fun, and I have enjoyed it. I've never done it before, but this is great.
This is awesome.
Yeah.
And Diana Parker, oh, that's true. Let's not string a hole the internet like we do our utilities.
Yeah. I'm telling you, have you ever gone to the power plant? I mean, they look the same as they did. They don't do that. No, there's no. There may be. I'm not saying that. Nobody. I don't want any cities writing me saying we upgrade our utilities, but I'm just saying essentially they provide the exact same service they always provided. And this is clearly anybody who thinks their phone. I mean, let's face it. Anybody who ever had a flip phone or one of those phones that you carry in the backpack, you know that your phones have innovated and have taken you to a different place. And you wouldn't think of leaving home without your phone or your tablet, because you can't. There's so many things you can do now.
I'm reminded. My phone reminds me I left my tablet.
That's right.
Yesterday I left my phone down at the
Mine
thing I
does
was
too.
at, and I was, where's my phone at? And so I looked on my iPad and it said,
That's
"Oh, your
right.
phone's over here." I said,
And
"Oh, okay."
see what a blessing it is that you have both. People of color over index on cell phone technology because they're so ubiquitous, the phones, but it's the tablet that really gives you the ability to manage your finances and to talk to your doctor and to plot a strategy and to use the software. One minute you could be writing your book, and then the next minute you could be plotting how you're going to do a strategic plan for something else. It really allows you to do many more things at your fingertips than you ever could before. And that's really what the innovation is, all the apps. And again, all the abilities to be able to do so many more things. And it used to be thought, well, hey, John has all this technology because he can afford it. But no, these things should be something that are much more ubiquitous. And there's so many people who've been fighting so long for this. I mean, you know how long ago that internship is, and we're still talking about this. But the good news is now there is, all these programs that come from the infrastructure bill, and so now it's an opportunity. You've got everybody's got grandmothers and cousins who could really use this help. It would change how much they pay every month, and for some it might make it so that they don't have to pay anything. So instead of your old grandmother's phone that only made 10 calls a month, now you can have some broadband that will enable you to make a living if you want to. I know people who have like, 6 businesses. They do everything from Herbalife to Avon, and they do all of that seamlessly through the internet. And I've met people who got their master's degree sitting in McDonald's parking lot. And people don't talk about it enough, but if you sit in the parking lot of McDonald's, the Wi-Fi never goes down.
Wow. Wow.
So
That's
something to
amazing.
think
I,
about.
I
So
I I know where to go now when I when I'm when I'm
when you're dying and you need some internet, you can do it at the public library, but it's usually not as convenient to sit out on the steps of the library. But if you got a car, you can sit there and you can write your thesis. I mean, I met a woman and she said that to me, and I thought it was like an aberration. And then I saw the two little girls sitting in their cute coats right outside. I won't say which business because people couldn't understand why they were sitting there with their laptops, and kind of reported them and found out that the parents had brought them there so they could use broadband. And they were supervised. They weren't alone. They were well dressed, but they didn't have broadband at home. And they had to
wow.
sit there until
Wow.
they did their homework. I mean, we don't want that. We want them to be able to be home and do that. And it's like one of those super movies. We have the technology. We have the power. We have to make the will something that we
Yeah.
really believe in.
Oh my gosh. So great. So great. Oh, I knew it's gonna be such a powerful conversation.
Yay, I'm
Uh,
excited.
I want to get to some other stuff, but we're not going to have time because I know you got to go at the top of the hour. Jeff is laughing out loud on some of the comments you're saying right there. Alicia, she's in Canada, and she says this has been very enlightening. So thanks. She's saying thanks
Yay,
to us. And then,
Canada. I'm
yeah,
from Buffalo.
hey, real close, right across the water,
Right
right
across
there.
the bridge. Right across the
uh,
bridge.
and then I
Yep.
love everything about this talk, y'all. So guys
Thank
in there,
you.
thank you. That's fantastic. So you've been encouraging so many people today, and you know, last question for you, kind of, do you have a mantra? Do you have a push that you kind of go to every single day to kind of get you up and moving forward? And then I want to close this down.
My personal code is gracious, generous, and grateful. Those are my three. And I try to be in sync with that. I try to if I'm not feeling gracious, or if I'm not feeling generous, or if I'm not feeling grateful, I try to stop myself and figure out what's causing me not to feel that way. But in the things I do, I try to aim for that, because at the end of the day, that's what makes me feel spiritually fulfilled. And so I have lots of mantras. One of them is, if you don't have a plan, you're part of somebody else's plan. That's my
Mm,
mentor's great saying, and he was so right about that. If you don't have a plan, and as a black woman, if I was a disabled black woman, if I didn't have a plan and other people were picking what was going to happen to me, it would not be good. It would not. Nobody's ever planning for me to give the lecture in Greece. Nobody is ever planning for me to come down to Florida and be on the waterfront and have a chat like this. Nobody ever plans that. That's what I would plan, but nobody would plan that for me. So I have to make my own plan, and that's why I don't rely on others in the workplace to decide, to help me, or to, encourage me. I like it if you get it. I'm always grateful to have it, right? I'm grateful. But I try to have my own plan. And when you have your own plan, you can be satisfied. I remember my mom said, you're the one who has to get up and go to law school every day.
mm,
So it's up
mm.
to you to make sure that this is what you want to do. And when it's what you want to do and it's your plan, it's a lot easier to get up in the morning.
Oh my gosh, I love that. I love that. I put it gracious, generous, and grateful. So I am so grateful that you were on this show with us today, and so generous with your time. And just, you're just such a grace. I appreciate that. Everything that you have said and added to our conversation and enlightening us today. And thank you for being my part of my plan today. So
That's right. My pleasure. That's right. See, it was my pleasure to be part of your plan today. And that's how we got it done. So thank you so much for having me. Thank you.
awesome. So everybody give the hand claps for Miss Kim Keenan out there. What a great show. Diana Parker. Thank you, Kim. This has been an enlightening conversation. Your perspective on the Olympic young ladies' caring attitude for the team and your internet outlook is great. Have a blessed day.
You
So
too.
So we thank you for being out here. So some more comments coming in here. So Legia is saying the same thing for you. And then I want to make sure, I think Dice came up here with something else to, don't take Christian people you wouldn't go to for advice. That's a
You're
good
right
one.
about that.
I love that one too.
You're right
That's
about that. High five on that one.
thank you for sharing, Kim. Rumi, thanks for hosting. Yeah, the Ru Q. All right.
Your
In
friends
the
are in
quest
the house.
so good, says Leisha. Okay, we're gonna done now. So that was the last chat we're gonna put up there. So I just want to thank you for your time. You can stay on for a second. I'm going to close the show out, and then I'll come back and talk to you in just a second.
Okay,
All right.
sounds good.
All right, everybody. Oh my gosh, did you hear that show today? What? That was just amazing. I don't know how I'm going to be able to even edit that thing down to get to pull the gold nuggets. I'm going to be here all day trying to figure that out. So I want to just kind of close this out real quick and just ensure that you know what's coming up with us. Of course, check out Jams, because I didn't get to that question with Kim. So she's litigating now for them and doing a fantastic job. Jams, go out and check that out. We talked about Brittany Bowe and Aaron Jackson. I wanted to get that. So that was a fantastic conversation. Remember, we have the Global Coffee Shop, coaches across the world, with myself and David Singleton. David's over in Dubai, and of course me here. So it's at 1800 Dubai time, 7 o'clock in the morning Mountain time here, and 1400 GMT if you're listening around the world and understand what GMT actually means. And then if you check out, we're going to put on the show here. I'm going to tag this show to the profile, but also we were on last weekend with Lester Holt on NBC. So we did the kids show with him. So I'm part of that project that came out there talking about the Olympic and Paralympic Museum, and Samantha Brown, Places to Love on PBS. We also were on that show as well. So we're just kind of getting more engaged and pushing out for people with disabilities, and making sure that we have equitable access all across the world, because we're 15% of the world's population, which equates to 1.2 billion people and $8 trillion with the T in economic buying power. The issue of Diversity.com magazine is now out with my article, The Value and Influence of the Disability Population. We're doing another one that's coming out as well. And then we have, remember, my mantra is to just be courageous, because when our truth outweighs our fear, we will commit to a courageous life. What else do we got? The make the jumps that you need to make. And then for Inspired Communications International, my name is John Register, two-time two-sport Paralympic athlete, saying thank you so much for gracing us with your time today. Go forth, inspire your world, and we'll talk to you in another couple of weeks. Bye for now.